Welcome to Yoga You and Judy. I am Judy, and today's class is all about being kind to ourselves. It's a 50-minute class, there's no props needed, and with that said, let's get started. We're starting in an upright seated position, taking some deep breaths. So we're taking a deep inhale, expanding shoulders and back, and taking a deep exhale, emptying the lungs, contracting the core of the body, navel pulling to the spine. Inhale as we expand shoulders and back. Exhale as we empty our lungs. Inhale, expanding the air into shoulders, into back. And exhale, navel pulling to the spine. Keep taking deep breaths like this in your own rhythm. Yogic philosophy believes in ethical principles called the yamas. These principles are meant to guide the relationship of an individual with the world and with other beings. One of these ethical principles is Ahimsa, or non-violence. While this includes what you would expect, like no violence towards others, no emotional, no verbal violence towards others, it also stresses the principle of non-violence against oneself. How often do we beat ourselves up for not having done something, not having done it good enough, fast enough, professionally enough, rather than acknowledging we have done the best we can? So non-violence is also about being kind to yourself. If you want to be kind to others, be kind to yourself. Kindness starts with you. In our practice today, we'll be kind to ourselves by focusing on the parts of our body that we often neglect and where we hence often hold tension. The neck, the shoulders, the spine and the hips. Today's intention is, I deserve kindness. On our next exhale, come forward into child's pose. Taking a few deep breaths in and out, again feeling the back expand as we inhale, and feeling the belly button pull towards the spine as we exhale, pushing all the air out. Another inhale and another exhale. Another inhale, and on our next exhale we slide the hands forward with a rounded back, and then we let our hips sink to the floor, arching the back, coming into a Sphinx pose. We're going to do a circular motion with these movements. So on the next inhale, push back with a rounded back. Exhale, arch your back, sink the hips, coming down into Sphinx pose. Inhale, rounding the back, pushing back. Exhale, arching the back, sinking the hips down into Sphinx pose. One more. Inhale, pushing back with a rounded back. Exhaling, arching the back and sinking the hips down into Sphinx. Placing our hands next to our chest, we push ourselves back to sit on our heels, lowering the right hand down and stretching the left arm over towards the right. On an inhale, circle the left arm towards the left, placing it down, and stretching the right arm over to the left on an exhale. Inhale as you circle the right arm towards the right, placing it down, stretching the left arm over to the right on an exhale. And we're going to repeat this twice more on each side with our own breath. So inhale, circling the left arm towards the left. placing it down and stretching the right arm over to the left on an exhale. Circling the right arm back to the right, placing it down, stretching the left arm over to the right on an exhale. Once more. Inhale, circling the left arm towards the left, placing it down, stretching the right arm over to the left on an exhale. Inhale, circling the right arm towards the right, placing it down, and the left arm circles over to the right on an exhale. Coming back to center, we're pushing ourselves up into a kneeling position on our toes. We're stretching our arms forward, and then the right hand grabs the left hand to stretch out the wrist, palm pointing forward. And we just hold that for 3, for 2, for 1, and then we switch sides. Right palm pointing forward, left arm stretching the right palm, holding for 3, for 2, and for 1. And then we start circling both our wrists in both directions. So let's do 5 circles in one direction and 5 circles in the other direction. From here we're coming forward into tabletop with the shoulders aligned over the wrists and the hips over the knees, and we're just shifting forward and back a few times. Forward, back, again warming up the wrists, forward and back, and then making some side movements, putting more pressure on the left, more pressure on the right. And then we're circling around, 3 circles in one direction and 3 circles in the other direction. Coming back into a neutral tabletop position, we're going to push into our fingers, keeping them well spread, like you're clawing into your mat. And you just lift your knees above the floor and you hover there. Feel your core engaged. Push into your palms and hold it for 3, for 2, for 1. And then let's push back to downward facing dog. In our first downward facing dog, let's just warm up our legs a bit by walking our feet, bending one thigh into the torso, then the other, and just keep walking 3, 4 times on each side. And then roll from side to side on your feet, stretching the sides of our legs. And then once we've done that a few times on each side, come onto your toes and back down again. Onto your toes, back down again. And once more, onto your toes and back down again. Just staying static in your downward dog for a moment. Take 1 inhale, 1 exhale. And on the next inhale, roll forward into a high plank. From here, exhale back to your tabletop knee hover, taking an inhale. And then on an exhale, pushing back into downward facing dog. We're going to repeat that twice more. So inhale forward into a high plank. Exhale to a tabletop hover. Inhale here and exhale back to downward facing dog. Once more. Inhale forward into high plank. Exhale back into tabletop with the knees hovering just above the floor. Inhale in position and exhale back into your downward facing dog. Come back into your tabletop position. Turn the right lower leg to the side. Stretch the left leg back and the left arm reaches overhead for a full side stretch. Now circle your left arm in both directions 3 times, creating a nice stretch all the way down the left side of your body. And let's switch directions. Nicely coordinate your movements with your breath. And then putting the left hand back down, and we're going to do the same on the other side. So we're turning the left lower leg to the side, right leg stretches back, right arm reaches overhead for a full side stretch on the right hand side. And again, we start circling our stretched out arm 3 times in each direction. Switching the direction. And nicely breathe in as you bring it up. Exhale as you circle it down. Nice. From tabletop, pushing back into downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward into plank. And on an exhale, slowly lower to the floor by bending your elbows, keeping them close to your body. With your forehead on the mat, lift your left arm and your right leg. Hold for a moment. Exhale, let it down. Next inhale, lift your right arm and your left leg. Exhale down. Inhale, left arm, right leg up. Exhale down. Inhale, right arm up and left leg. Exhale down. Once more, left arm, right leg up on an inhale. Exhale down. Right arm and left leg up. Exhale, coming down. Take one full breath here before we are coming into our locust position. So to come into our locust, on the next inhale, lift both arms and both legs. And then we're going to circle back our arms, cactus shape them with the elbows pointing down, the thumbs pointing up, turning the palms to face each other as we circle all the way back. We bend the right arm behind our back, release. Bend the left arm behind our back, release. Circle forward, palms now facing each other in the front. We'll repeat that twice more. Circle back in cactus arms, elbows down, thumbs up. Bringing the arms all the way back, palms now facing each other. Bend the right arm behind your back, bend the left arm behind your back. Circle forward, palms facing each other in the front. And once more, cactus shape your arms, elbows down, thumbs up. Turn your palms to face each other, circling back. Bend the right arm behind your back, release. Bend the left arm, release. Circle forward, palms facing each other, and relax. Taking some deep breath with your forehead resting on the ground. And then place your palms next to your torso and push yourself back into downward facing dog. Take an inhale here, and on your exhale, walk your feet forward into a forward fold. Exhale, and on an inhale, slowly roll yourself up into standing. We're starting with our sun salutations. Inhale, raise your arms up. Exhale, hinge forward from your hips. Inhale, halfway up. Plant your hands on an exhale and step back to plank. Bring your knees to the floor, arch your back, your chin, your chest come to the floor, keeping your elbows close to the body. Inhale, push forward into cobra. Exhale to downward facing dog. In your downward facing dog, let your head hang heavy. Shake it left and right a few times. Nod yes and no a few times, just allowing your head to really hang heavy and relax. And then sit back on your heels with your toes tucked. Bring the right hand overhead to your left ear, gently pulling your right ear towards your right shoulder. Your left hand is hovering, and explore making some circles with it and feeling how that changes the area of the stretch on the left hand side of your neck. Then pull your chin down towards the side, looking towards your right armpit, and take 2 deep breaths here. This time feeling a nice stretch on the left, but more on the back of your neck. And then gently release, bringing your head back to center. Bring the left hand overhead to your right ear and gently pulling your left ear towards your left shoulder. Your right hand is stretched out and it's hovering just over the floor, and start to make some circles, creating different stretching sensations on the right side of your neck. And then pulling your chin down towards the side, looking towards your left armpit, and taking 2 deep breaths here. And then gently release your head back to center. Bringing both hands behind your head and pulling your chin to your chest, keeping a straight back so that you're really stretching your neck rather than any part of your back. Inhale and open the elbows to the side as you arch your back. And then exhale, bringing the elbows forward, pulling your chin to your chest, rounding your back. Inhale, open up, elbows pulling to the side, arching your back. And then exhale, bringing your elbows forward, rounding your back, chin goes to the chest. Once more, inhale, pulling the elbows to the side, arching your back, opening the front of your body. Exhale, chin to chest, round your back, elbows coming forward. Coming back into tabletop position, and on your next exhale, push back into your downward facing dog. Walk your hands back towards your feet and come down into a cross-legged seated position. Take your right hand behind your head. Breathe in and lift your right elbow to the sky to open your chest. And breathe out as you fold forward to the left with the right elbow moving towards the left knee, and you round your back. We're going to repeat that 3 times. Inhale, right elbow coming up to the sky. Exhale, right elbow to left knee, rounding your back. Inhale, your right elbow up to the sky, and exhale it down to your left knee, rounding your back. Coming back to neutral, your left hand is placed on the floor. You stretch your right arm overhead towards the left, and then we circle down, forward, and up in the back. Circle down, forward, up and back. And once more, down, forward, up and back. And coming back to center, repeating that same little sequence on the other side. The left hand goes behind our head. We breathe in as we lift the left elbow to the sky, opening the chest. On an out breath, we fold forward, round our back, left elbow is moving towards the right knee. Inhale, lifting your elbow to the sky. Exhale, pulling it towards the right knee with a round back. Inhale, pulling it towards the sky, opening the chest. And breathe out, bringing the left elbow towards the right knee with a round back. Coming back to neutral, the right hand is on the floor. We stretch the left arm overhead towards the right, and then we circle it down and back up. Circle it down in front and back up. And once more, circling it down in front and back up. And we're coming back to a centered position in our cross-legged seat, and we just fold forward. We let the head hang heavy. The arms come forward, and we're rounding our back just like the crown of our head wants to touch the floor. And just enjoy that forward fold for a moment. Coming back up and rolling over your knees into a tabletop position, and on an exhale, pushing back to a downward facing dog. One inhale, one exhale. On the next inhale, we come forward into plank. Exhale, your knees to the floor, arch your back, chin, chest come to the floor by bending the elbows, keeping the elbows close to the body. And on an inhale, we push forward into cobra. And on an exhale, we push back into downward facing dog. Walking forward, inhaling, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come up all the way. And exhale your arms down into a standing mountain pose. Taking one full deep breath here. On your next inhale, raise your arms up. Exhale, hinge forward from your hips. Inhale, halfway up. And then plant your hands, step back to plank. Exhale as you flow through chaturanga, bending your elbows, keeping them close to the body. Inhale to upward facing dog, knees stay lifted off the floor. And exhale to downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, step your feet slightly wider than hip width distance. And then plant your left hand firmly in the ground, push the floor away with it, and bring your right hand to the outside of your left ankle. And just hold it there for 3, 2, 1. Putting your right hand down, pressing into the floor and moving your left hand to the outside of your right ankle. And then holding it here for 3, for 2, and for 1. Back into your downward facing dog. Inhale and exhale. On your next inhale, come forward into a high plank. Bring your left knee to your left shoulder, down to your left wrist. Keep your back rounded, over to your right wrist and up to your right shoulder, and stretch it back into a one-legged high plank. We'll repeat that twice more, bringing the left knee to the left shoulder, to the left wrist, right shoulder, back into one-legged high plank. Bringing the left knee to the left shoulder, left wrist, right wrist, and up to the right shoulder. Push it back, one-legged plank, and put your left foot down next to the right foot, and we'll repeat the same thing straight away on the other side. This time the right knee comes to the right shoulder, right wrist, keep your back rounded, left wrist, left shoulder, and back, one-legged high plank, right shoulder, right wrist, left shoulder, one-legged high plank. Last one, right knee, right shoulder, right wrist, left shoulder. Push it back and put your right foot down in your high plank. Nicely done. And from here we're pushing back into child's pose and just rest here for a few breaths. Deep inhales, deep exhales. And then once our breathing is back to where it should be, we shift forward from our child's pose onto our lower arms, pushing the tailbone up in the air and walking our feet forward, coming into dolphin pose, where we align our shoulders over our elbows and we gaze in between our thumbs. And we just hold this position for 3, for 2, for 1, and then we lift up the right leg, hold it for 3, for 2, for 1, and swapping legs, right leg down, lift your left leg up, holding it for 3, for 2, for 1, left leg down, and sinking back onto our heels into a child's pose. Taking 3 breaths here. Your last breath in child's pose. And then once again we shift forward onto our lower arms, coming into our dolphin pose with the shoulders aligned over the elbows. And then on the next inhale we shift our chin forward in between our hands and exhale back. Chin forward towards our hands and back. And once more, chin forward in between our hands, holding it there for 3, for 2, for 1, and then we sink back onto our heels into a child's pose. Take one last deep breath in your child's pose, and then on your next exhale, push back into downward facing dog. Coming forward into plank. And on an exhale, you flow through chaturanga, bending your elbows, keeping them close to the body. Inhale to upward facing dog with knees staying lifted off the floor. And exhale to downward facing dog. Inhale, come on your toes. Look between your hands, bend your knees, and on an exhale, you try to jump forward towards your hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hinge forward from the hips. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale into standing mountain pose. On our next inhale, we raise our arms up again. Exhale, hinge forward from the hips. Inhale, halfway up. Plant the hands and step back to plank. Exhale as we flow through chaturanga, bending our elbows, keeping them close to the body. Inhale to upward facing dog, knees off the floor. Exhale to downward facing dog. Lower your knees into tabletop And we're coming into a variation of thread the needle. So on an inhale, lift your right arm up, opening the chest to the side, and then push your right arm underneath your body to the left, but do not lower all the way. Inhale, right arm comes up again. Exhale, push your arm underneath the body, but don't put it down on the floor. Inhale, back up. And on your next exhale, you push your arm through to the left under your body, lower all the way to the floor, and you bring the left arm behind your back. And we're just holding this for 3, for 2, for 1. And then slowly coming back out of the pose by raising the right arm once more before finding tabletop. Let's repeat this on the other side. Inhale as you lift your left arm up, opening the chest to the left side. And then exhale, push your left arm underneath your body to the right, but do not lower all the way. Come back up on an inhale. Exhale, push back through. Inhale, come back up again. Exhale, push through underneath your body to the right, and this time lower all the way to the floor, bringing the right arm behind your back to open your chest even more. And we're staying here for 3, for 2, for 1. To come out of this pose, we once more raise the left arm up before bringing it down, coming back into tabletop. We're now going to lower ourselves onto the floor all the way with our arms out in a T shape, bringing the right cheek to the floor, rolling over our right shoulder, bringing the left leg over and behind the right leg. And that's going to give us a nice stretch on the left hand side of our body. And we're taking 1 deep breath here. And then very gently turn back to center. Place your left cheek on the floor, roll over your left shoulder, bringing the right leg over and behind the left. And then feeling the same stretch on the right hand side. And just taking 1 very deep breath here. And then turning back to center and pushing ourselves back into downward facing dog for 1 deep breath in our downward facing dog. And on our next inhale, we lift the right leg and we step the foot through in between our hands, lowering the back knee, coming into a low lunge. Bring your hands together in front of your heart, sinking into the front leg, and you want to keep your legs really strong, your thighs pulling towards each other, tailbone slightly tucked, navel pulling towards the spine. And then from here we twist to the right, finding our balance and hooking the left elbow outside the right knee, hands pressing towards the heart center, and we just hold this position. And if you want a slightly stronger pose, you lift your left leg, come into a twisted high lunge, and then once you've found your balance here, slowly lift your left leg, bring it to the front next to your right leg as you keep twisting. And then whilst holding this twist, you step back your left leg, coming back into your high lunge. Place your left hand inside the right foot and twist open to the right. Release both hands to the floor and push back into your downward facing dog, taking one deep breath here. On the next inhale, we move to the other side by lifting our left leg and stepping it through in between our hands into a low lunge on the left. Right knee down on the floor, and we bring our hands together in front of the heart, sinking into the front leg, strong legs, thighs pulling towards each other. And we gently twist to the left, finding our balance, keeping our pelvis slightly tucked and hooking the right elbow outside of the left knee. And just holding here for a moment. For a bit of a stronger pose, push into your back foot, lifting up the back knee to come into a twisted high lunge. Keep pulling your belly button towards the spine, tucking your pelvis slightly. And then finally you lift your right leg and bring it to the front next to your left leg while you keep twisting, and don't let one knee come forward of the other one. They're both in one line. And we just stay in this twisted chair pose. And then very slowly we step our right leg back into our high lunge, still twisted. Placing the right hand down inside of the left foot, twisting open to the left hand side. Taking one deep breath here. And then we release both our hands to the floor, stepping back into downward facing dog. And again, taking a few deep breaths here. And on your next exhale, come forward, flowing through chaturanga, bending the elbows, keeping them close to the body. Inhale to upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. On an inhale, come onto your toes, look in between your hands, bend your knees and jump forward on an exhale. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, hinge forward from the hips. Inhale as you come all the way up, and exhale your arms down into a standing mountain pose. Inhale, raising your arms up. Exhale, hinge forward from your hips. Inhale, halfway up, and then we step back to plank. Exhale as we flow through chaturanga, bending our elbows, keeping them close to the body. Inhale to upward facing dog, and exhale back to downward facing dog. Stepping the right leg in between our hands, we place the back foot parallel to the short side of the mat. The front heel is in line with the back heel or with the back arch. We sink into our front knee, turning it out towards the right hand side. Strong legs, thighs pulling together, navel pulling into the spine, pelvis tucked, arms straight parallel to the floor, shoulders away from the ears. So you want to make sure that you've got a really good and strong alignment here in your warrior two. Coming down, placing the right hand inside the right foot, we come into an extended side ankle by stretching our left arm forward. Taking one deep breath here. And on our next inhale, we come back up into warrior two. Straighten our front leg and just hop the back leg a little bit closer. Inhale, pull your right hand forward, and exhale, placing your right hand on the shin or on the floor, coming into a triangle position. And we're holding this position for 3. We want to have our pelvis tucked and navel pulling towards the spine, almost as if the back of our body is leaning against a wall. And then we place our right hand slightly forward and to the right, lifting our left leg up parallel to the floor. Left hand stays up. And we come into a half moon pose with the chest pointing to the left and the left shoulder pulling back. Taking one deep breath here. And then bend your front knee slightly, place both hands on the mat and step back into downward facing dog. Let's do that same sequence on the other side. Step your left leg in between your hands, coming into warrior two, where your back foot is parallel to the short end of the mat. Again, the front heel is in line with the back heel or the back arch. The front knee turned out to the left. We've got strong legs, thighs pulling towards each other, navel pulling to the spine, pelvis tucked, shoulders away from the ears, parallel to the floor. It's a very strong position. From there, we place our left hand inside of the left foot, coming into an extended side angle with the right arm stretching overhead. Holding that for 3, for 2, for 1. And then inhaling back up into warrior two. Straighten the front leg, hopping the back leg a little bit closer, and then pulling the left hand forward, placing the left hand on the shin or on the floor, coming into a triangle position. Again, you want to create the feeling as if you're leaning flat against a wall. So pelvis is pushing slightly forward, and we're holding that for 3, for 2, for 1. And then we want to place our left hand slightly forward and to the left, lifting the right leg parallel to the floor, coming into the half moon pose with our chest pointing to the right this time, right arm up and the right shoulder pulling back. And then very gently bend your front knee, place both hands on the mat and step back into downward facing dog. Exhale as you come forward and flow through chaturanga, bending your elbows. Inhale into upward facing dog, knees lifted off the floor. And exhale back to downward facing dog. Inhale, come on your toes, look between your hands, bend your knees and jump forward on an exhale. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hinge forward from the hips. Inhale, come up. And exhale your arms down into standing mountain pose. Opening your feet hip width distance apart, feet parallel, and then we fold forward from the hip, placing the left hand down, stretching the right arm up, and then doing the same on the other side, right hand down, left hand up, and then both hands on the floor, walking them over to the right, and just feeling a nice stretch, mainly on the inside of the right leg. Walking them over to the left side. This time feeling a nice stretch on the left inside of the leg. And then bringing them back to center, maybe widening your stance a little bit. And then walk your hands back past your feet and bring your elbows into a 90-degree angle. Let your head hang heavy and just relax here for a little while. Just feel your neck relax and your shoulders, your facial muscles, And then very slowly walk back and lower yourself to the mat through your yogic squat and come into a cross-legged position. Place your hands on your knees, and then we're going to circle our body across our folded legs 3 times in each direction. So inhale, arch your back as you come forward. Exhale, round your back as you circle back. Inhale, forward. Exhale, round your back. Inhale, circle forward with an arched back. Exhale, rounded back. And let's change direction and just do 3 circles with your own breath. Inhaling and arching your back as you come forward, and exhaling and rounding your back as you come back. And then uncross your legs, slowly roll onto your back, raising both legs in the air, and then we'll circle out our ankles. Let's do 3 circles in each direction. And then let's point our toes and flex them. Point and flex, point and flex, and then give them a good shake. And then very slowly and with control, bring your palms to support your lower back as you come up into a shoulder stand, where you want your feet aligned over your knees and your knees aligned over your hips. Your chin is pulling into your chest. Don't move your head. And just take 5 deep breaths in your shoulder stand, feeling the blood flowing into your head in this nice inversion at the end of our practice. And then slowly and with control, lower your legs behind your head. Stretch your legs if you can, and feel a beautiful stretch all the way along your spine and in your back. And we're taking 3 deep breaths here. And then very slowly roll your body back onto the floor, coming into your Shavasana, your resting position, with your feet slightly apart, slightly falling to the outside, your arms alongside your body, palms facing up. And just relax your body into the earth. Feel all the parts of your body that we so often neglect, where we create tension, whether physical or emotional. Feel your neck, your shoulders, your spine, your hips. Feel them all sink into the earth. Treat yourself with kindness. Remember the yama of Ahimsa, non-violence, which is also about not being violent to yourself, but to extend the same kindness to yourself that you would extend to your best friend. Practice being kind to yourself just like you are kind to others. Practice loving kindness and send your best wishes to yourself. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I live my life with ease. And then very slowly and very gently start bringing some movement into your fingers, into your toes, maybe gently circling your ankles, rolling your head from side to side, and then very slowly find a way into a seated position, keeping your eyes closed. And on an inhale, we circle our arms up. And on an exhale, we bring them together in front of heart center. Gently open your eyes. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope you enjoyed this class. If you did, please subscribe to Yoga, You and Judy, and I hope to see you again very soon. Have a beautiful day.